The Aaron's 312 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Talladega Superspeedway. Normally fast and frantic racing action right now is stilled under the red flag after a multi-car accident down in turn number 1. An accident begun when a car coming off pit road got onto the track in front of a steaming pack of cars at full speed.
The whole pack's coming off but they've got, talking about a piece of debris, they're all going to blow by you, so just stay low. Watch the blend line, watch the blend line. And here comes the pack. Oh.
Voice of Kevin LePage's spotter on his radio as he came off the pit lane. Kevin has come from the infield care center now. Let's hear from him with Mike Massaro.
And Alan, you can see the disappointment on the face of Kevin LePage as he assesses the damage on his car. Kevin, what happened?
Well, it all started when we had a loose wheel and I came down pit road, and as I was leaving pit road, the spotter says pack's coming, so I stayed down till I got in turn 1 and got up on the racetrack, and the first half a dozen cars or so passed me, and next thing you know I got rear-ended. So you know, everybody's mad at me for pulling up on the racetrack, but you go to the driver's meeting, they said stay low till you get in turn 1, pull up on the racetrack, and like I said, the first half a dozen cars got by me without any problem. So you know, my spotter's been spotting for me for a number of years, and I think she did a great job. And you know, I was down low, had my, matter of fact, left side's lower than the apron, and you know, there's 40 other guys up there trying to spot these things, and they couldn't see me coming out of the pits with this red and yellow race car. Then maybe they need to get new spotters.
Well, guys, obviously a very disappointed driver there.
So thoughts of Kevin LePage there on his involvement in that accident. I want to bring in DJ, Andy, and Doc from up in the booth and talk about this now. The instructions the drivers are given at the drivers' meeting about the blend rule, and let's just talk about that for just a second. Kevin is there saying that it's till you get to turn 1 and then you come up on the racetrack. Correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that the instructions for today were that you had to stay with those wheels below that line till you got around to turn number 2. Am I wrong on that, or are we in agreement that that's what the instructions were?
Alan, we are beside the NASCAR tower up here, and we have been told that the instructions were indeed just that you had to stay all 4 below the yellow line, the blend line, and you could then put 2 tires above it as you're going into turn 2, and then you could get above it in turn 2. So their instructions, according to what they're telling us, was that you could not come up on the racetrack right there. In fact, Clint Boyer was black flagged when he came back on the racetrack earlier today because he went up across that line at that point onto the racetrack and was brought back down pit road. So DJ and guys, when that happens, unfortunately, there's a huge speed discrepancy, and then we saw the results.
Regardless of what the rule was, it takes just a little bit of common sense right there would tell you not to come up on the racetrack when you got these guys were racing 3 and 4 wide at times getting down in there. So, you know, there wasn't a lot to be gained by trying to pull up on the racetrack at that point.
And you took exactly what I was thinking, that sometimes you just forget about the rule and you use common sense because, again, this is a totally different racetrack. The rule has been different over the years and things. It used to be that you could put your left side tires on the yellow line going out there. But regardless of that, you have to look at the situation and take into account that these guys are coming over 100 miles an hour faster than what you were running at that time, and you give them room and then you fall in. It's unfortunate that he had the problem, but you just created a bigger problem.
All the carnage down in the garage area, and 16 cars heavily damaged, and you saw a moment ago the distant look of one Brad Keselowski who thought yesterday he might have a chance and might have the car to get his first win here today. Let's go down to Jamie.
Well, and he even led some laps early on in the race, and he was just watching our monitors to see the replay. And Brad, what was your assessment of what took place?
Well, obviously the 61 car pulled up in front of the field. I don't know why. Maybe he didn't know the field was behind him. It's hard telling, but tore up some cars and unfortunately got us. We're not that bad. We just hit with the right front wheel and broke the center link. Once we get that fixed, we'll be right back out there, and hopefully we won't lose too many laps and go get some good points out of it.
Because, of course, guys, more laps on that track means more points. So his car, one of the lesser damaged of all 16 cars involved. So Brad Keselowski looking to get back out there, guys.
Trying to hang in the top 10 in the points, Jamie. He had led 3 times today for 9 laps. And you see now, you wonder why these guys are not working on the car. The Navy crew, they're not allowed to touch the car under a red flag. Brad Keselowski driving for JR Motorsports. Dale Earnhardt Jr. There's a look at his season. His best finishes, a couple of 4th place in 2008 NASCAR Nationwide Series. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
They finish up the cleanup here at Talladega, and we take a minute to look ahead to the next race for the Nationwide Series. Friday night at Richmond International Raceway. They call it the action track. There's plenty of action there. It's a little different than you see here at Talladega. The 49th Nationwide Series race at Richmond is Friday night, ESPN2, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. We hope that you will be with us as we continue to follow the NASCAR Nationwide Series all season long. So while they finish up this cleanup, you see the pace car beginning to position itself back at the head of the field. That's right behind our pit studio. The car's starting to fire up, and they'll withdraw that red flag and put the yellow flag out momentarily. There it is, lower right corner of the screen. Crews will be able to work on the car back in the garage and on the pit lane now, and this field will move around toward pit road. As we look at the standings, Brad, what's ahead here?
Well, I think it's interesting. Obviously, you still got the heat up front with Stewart and Earnhardt Jr., but as you look through the top 10 here, there's some unique opportunities. Bobby Hamilton Jr., DJ Kennington, Morgan Shepherd, Mark Green, all running in the top 10. This could be a huge points day for those guys. So I hope they all can stay in there and get a great finish. But the heat, it's up front. Stewart and Earnhardt Jr., 1 and 2.
And as those teams whose cars were damaged in the melee begin to work on their machines, I want to talk about Stewart and Earnhardt Jr. It seemed like the one of those two guys that's gotten out in front, the other guy hasn't been able to get by so far. Remember, Earnhardt Jr. led until the last pit stop. Stewart got out ahead of him when Earnhardt Jr. got blocked in on pit road. Earnhardt Jr. hasn't passed him yet. They've still got another set of pit stops that most likely will come here under this yellow flag. And whoever comes off pit road here, that could be really important.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, I stepped outside a second ago, and that number 5 car, that Earnhardt Jr. car, that thing is hauling the heat, baby. It sounds like a freight train by itself out there in the air. I think that 20 car is going to have his hands full when we get down to cutting time.
Well, Doc, DJ, Andy, got another pit stop to come and about 46 laps of racing to go between those two, at least those two.
Lots yet to happen here at Talladega, guys. And as you mentioned, 8 of the top 10 drivers in the NASCAR Nationwide Series points involved with that crash. So it's going to jumble the points, but we're talking about the race here. And as you mentioned, Dale Earnhardt Jr., a factor. Give a call to 66-year-old Morgan Shepherd. Now, yes, folks, I said 66-year-old. 15-time winner in this series, and Morgan driving his 221st career start. There's Morgan. Doesn't have a sponsor. He uses his racing to profess his faith, and he is having a great run today in that Dodge Charger.
He's still got a shot. He's on the lead lap, and he's still got a shot at this thing if it gets crazy at the end.
Anything can happen, and we get ready for pit stop. It's going to be interesting to see, again, what kind of strategy some of these guys employ. You know, Mike Wallace is another one of those guys. I don't know how much damage he got in that. It looked like he got away pretty clean, but as they get to pit road, we'll see. Shannon?
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was about 6 to 7 laps short on fuel to go to the end, so he is going to come down pit road. Gas only for the number 5 car. His crew chief looks on. Dave.
DJ referred to the number 7 damage. They're going to put a patch on that made of tape. They also asked Mike to keep the wheels as straight as possible so we can see how hard we have to bend that fender to clear it. Jamie?
And Tony Stewart, it's going to be fuel only for him. Just a couple seconds in the pit stop. He's down and away in the lead, guys.
Race off of pit road. They say they can go 45 to 46 laps. There are 46 laps to go. Make it 45 now. And you see Mike Bliss gaining 7 spots. You heard Tony Stewart just had a splash of fuel. DJ Kennington, we keep talking about the great effort by the Canadian team and McDonald Motorsports. He had a good run in Mexico City last week, and now DJ showing in the top 10. Something about those guys named DJ that do pretty well here at Talladega. Here is what you're talking about, trying to work a little bit on that fender. How important is what they're doing here, Andy?
Well, they've got to get it off of the tire to keep it from rubbing. And at this racetrack, you got to have some shape in that fender too, because it'll really hurt you, especially if you get your car out front.
Keep me abreast here.
Yeah, that's going to be the main thing. Is it might not hurt him as if he's back in the draft and he's got somebody pushing him and he's not busting up that air. But if he's going to try to get to the front, yeah, this may be a situation that he would have to wait literally to the last lap to try to do that.
Kyle Busch coming back on the pit road. He was black flagged a moment ago for too fast on exit. Hard to believe that car there could go too fast because the front end is pretty much bent in and open like a giant can opener. He is being shown a lap down or was being shown a lap down in the 17th position.
Yeah, as much success as Kyle Busch has had over these last 3 weeks in particular, and all year really, but in this series, it's really difficult to sit there in that position knowing that your chance at winning another race, when you're on a roll like that, you just want it to keep going. You know it's going to come to an end sometime, but that chance has been taken away from him today.
Kyle Busch was looking to make a mark by becoming just the second driver in series history to win 4 races in a row. The only other one to do it was Sam Ard back in 1983, and ironically that was 2 years before Kyle Busch was born.